Australia's energy market operator has warned of gaps opening up in the power grid over the medium term, due in part to delayed projects and early closure of coal plants. The new battery storage and generation projects coming online will reduce the risk of blackouts or supply shortages over the next few years, but AEMO has called for urgent investment to ensure the grid remains stable in the back half of the decade. A 12-month delay of the Kurri Kurri gas plant, combined with impending closures of the Liddell and Eraring generators, have sparked the call to fast-track investment in storage and transmission technologies. For more on this, let's bring in the Chief Executive of the Australian Energy Council, Sarah McNamara. Sarah, thanks for your time. How significant are these looming gaps in supply in the medium term?
Thank you. Well, AEMO's report released today is a really important document for would-be investors in the energy market, and that's both private investors and government investors. Because what it does, it anticipates where we're going to have reliability gaps in the grid over the next decade, and therefore encourages those pipeline projects to get to a more final commitment so we can make sure we can fill those gaps before they occur.
And will they be filled accordingly, do you think? How much are we talking about in terms of the investment needed?
Well, there's certainly ongoing investment needed in our grid because we are in the middle of an energy market transition. We're well on our way to net zero by 2050, but over the next decade, we know we're going to see around 13% of our existing capacity depart. Now, what the market operator does in this annual report, although this one's been updated since August because of new information that's been material for investors, what the market operator does is it only deals with committed projects. So where we see reliability gaps in the future, AEMO is not taking account of pipeline projects that aren't yet fully committed. And the good news is there are plenty of pipeline projects waiting in the wings, if you like, to step in and fill these reliability gaps as we move towards the end of this decade.
The head of AEMO, Mr. Westerman, actually saying that the pipeline of investment is multiple the current capacity. So the medium term, there might be a looming gap that needs to be filled, but the longer term sounds like it's pretty well placed. Is that a fair assessment?
Oh, look, certainly in the short term, we've got a more positive outlook around reliability, and that's why the market operators updated its statement from last August. As we get to 2027, 2028, things do start to get a little more tricky. But because there are so many potential projects in the pipeline, these are challenges that should be pretty comfortably able to be met by either private investment or government investment. And in fact, this report is a really important signpost, if you like, to that investment capital to keep moving and to keep getting these projects ready to bring online.
And does it highlight that gas remains an important transition fuel, Sarah?
Look, I think it does. One of the reasons we have an even more stable outlook in South Australia, New South Wales and Victoria is because we've had two gas peakers in South Australia, gas peakers extend their life, and that's really a positive sign for the market in New South Wales. The success of the New South Wales investment roadmap's also been very positive, and the Waratah super battery in New South Wales should come online by 2025, which will be another important contributor to stability in the market.
We talk a lot about the storage, the need for batteries and so on. Much of the challenge, and I think you've already touched on it to a degree, but it does relate to the transmission capacity of the grid as well, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The poles and wires that we need to ensure we can move the energy from where it's generated to where it needs to get to in terms of households and businesses is a really important part of the puzzle. And transmission build, it's expensive, these are long life assets, and we need a lot of it. So decisions need to be made carefully and with a careful cost benefit analysis to ensure that we're making efficient investments in our transmission infrastructure to support the grid as it evolves.